this is doing the work. Okay, this is what's required. You guys sign up to be in business. You guys sign up to have this life for yourself. Whatever it is what you want to do for you and your family, you freaking make it happen. Like, I wish I had things like Atena's software. If you're not using, you should use it. That can, create copy in like a few seconds, basically for anything. But this is the work.
Douglas James, he is a master of the sales. So he's been in the traffic and sales industry for the last 10 years. He's been mastering the online traffic and high-ticket phone sales, growing his consulting and coaching businesses to over $70 million. He's profitably spent over $25 million on paid ads just for his own offer, and he's been selling the offers up to $50,000 product. His program has mentored over 1,500 entrepreneurs around the world, professionals and military veterans on how to scale their business online. Douglas is also a strategic investor in the blockchain, technology, artificial intelligence, commodity trading, and commercial real estate, evidencing a robust understanding of the diverse investment landscape. He's been featured on the live TV and a major publication like a Fox, Entrepreneur, Yahoo, NBC, and ABC, to name a few. And today, Douglas is the founder and CEO of the SaaS platform, AI SaaS platform that called LeadFi.ai. And he's going to talk about that. LeadFi AI is focuses on helping businesses reveal the exact buying power of the leads in the real time using just a name, email, and phone number. So LeadFi provides the complete credit and financial information, allowing the sales team to prioritize the high-value prospects and allow marketing team to target 700 plus credit score audiences. LeadFi is disrupting the online marketing space and giving businesses a true competitive advantage with cutting-edge innovation and technology. Hi, Douglas. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Tina, thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to be here. Good to see everyone here. Love your tribe. So now that you did my introduction, I basically don't have anything to teach. So you guys have a good night. I'll see you guys next time. I'm kidding. It was a very thorough introduction. I appreciate that. Yeah, so what's up, guys? So I'm actually I'm in a, what do you call this? A co-work space right now on Wi-Fi on my laptop. I'm usually in San Diego, looking like $1 million, but I'm traveling right now. I've been traveling actually a lot actually over the last 3 months. I just got done hosting my friend Neo Davis's mastermind, and also he had a massive birthday party as well, like 300 something people there. That was in Atlanta this past weekend. So now I'm in Dallas just visiting family. It's my wife's dad's birthday. He's going to be 86, so gonna celebrate his birthday, and got 2 daughters, a 5.5-year-old and a 2-year-old as well. So we're just here in Dallas. It's funny because right before this call, I was doing a consulting call for a company, and I had to run out the house because I was going to take this call like in our Airbnb, but like my wife didn't book an Airbnb where like there's a concealed room with like a desk or something where I could just have some privacy, and the kids are just like running around going crazy. So I had to like take the call in the car, get here, and I got set up in like 5 minutes right before we just went live. So we just making it happen. But yeah, so I'm really excited to be here with you guys. I have some slides and things that I'm gonna walk you through, and keep it like light and more high level for you guys, because I think all of you here are have businesses, right? And you're all kind of in your lanes, selling your product or service to your customers. There's a lot of unique things that I could go into on this call, but I want to probably try to identify the most highest leverage things that I could talk about. Obviously, I have the SaaS product that we can talk about, and I want to go into that and tell you how I came about this particular product that gives you this financial information for your customers. But I can also, what I would like to do is also spend a little bit of time of maybe helping you guys close more high ticket deals, using the SaaS product, or just in general as a salesperson, because I truly believe if you're in marketing, if you're in sales, you really need to spend a good amount of time understanding human behavior. Humans have a very interesting way that we operate, right? There's usually a cause and effect and a reaction that you could pull out of anyone and anybody if you know how to pull the right levers, right? And, there's a dark side of that. Like, you can get so good at human psychology and human behavior where you can actually manipulate people and, like, get them to do things that they weren't necessarily going to do that could actually like harm them or financially. Like, there's tactics and NLP practices of people that do that. But I think that there's a, ethical side and a very useful side of understanding this behavior so that you guys can actually get the word out and get in front of people, uh, so you can deliver more pitches, getting you more swings at bat. Um, and I think that if you're in business, right, I like to assume everyone's here in business to not only make a lot of money, but also, like, make an impact and kind of change the world in your own way, and, leave a legacy that, your kids or other people could have like great things to say about you when you're gone. Like, that's all important, right? The money's great, but it's like, where's that going to lead to? The money's like always, it's a vehicle. You get a lot of people like to focus on the money and try to hit these like amazing, incredible goals. But it's like, okay, now what? What are you going to do now? I've been fortunate and blessed enough to be somebody that has made a lot of money, and I found myself like bored and like, I'm like, what now? And so I think that if you need to keep always have to have a purpose of like, what is the thing you're going to do once you get to the next level, and actually getting more defined and clear on longer term visions early on will help you stay in the game longer and drive harder to get results long term. Because we all signed up to be entrepreneurs, right? Like, this is what we signed up for. Some of us didn't realize it was going to be this tough. Like, raise your hand if you didn't think it was going to be this tough when you first started. Like, I'm gonna raise my hand right now, because there's times where like I wanted to quit. There's times where I wanted to throw in a towel. And there was times where I legitimately had every reason to like quit and go back to the Navy. Like, I was in the Navy for 10 years, right? But no, I put a stake in the ground and said, hey, I'm here on a mission to create financial security and freedom for me and my family, so I can raise my girls and so I can come and go as I please, and build a life for them that I didn't have growing up, right? Because I mean, for me, and I'm just, this is all a part of it. I'm gonna get into it with you guys. We're gonna talk about the software. We're gonna talk about tactics, but I think this is really important conversation because, for me, I've been in this space for like 10, 11 years now. And prior to that, I was in the Navy for 10 years, right? But growing up, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and growing up, I grew up in a household where there was a lot of chaos, right? It was a very chaotic environment. I had a father that was, abusing alcohol, drugs. I had a father that was, verbally, physically abusive to me, my sister, and my mom. There was nights I didn't know if I was going to eat or if he was going to kick down my door, right? By the time I was 16, I moved out, and I moved in with my best friend's parents at the time. And then I moved in with my grandparents eventually. And, I found myself going down like this path. Like, I thought that I was going to, not, like, I thought my dad was like the example of what not to be, right? However, when I was like 17, 18, I found myself, wow, I'm falling into behaviors that I saw my dad do. And I thought, hey, you're supposed to be the guy that's not supposed to do those things, right? So I was out drinking, staying out late, getting into trouble, as a lot of kids do when we're young and dumb. We do things that are stupid, right? Um, but I found myself having to make a super, super hard decision, because my grandparents and my mom came to me one day and they were like, hey, you're going to, go to college, you're going to go into the military, or you're going to get the F out of our house and be homeless and try to figure it out. So I mean, for me, I didn't want to do that. I was like, I didn't want to be homeless. So what's my two options? Okay, join the military or go to college. Well, I graduated college with literally like a 1.4 GPA and high school. The only reason why I graduated high school is because I cheated off all the smart kids. Right? Like that. I'm not even kidding you. There was a couple kids that I had classes with, and they would basically pass around their answers during the test and charge you like $5 to $10, right? Or like you take an exam, and they would just lean back and make it easy for you to see their answers. Okay. So that's how I graduated high school. And military was the only option for me. So I ended up going into the military, right? End up spending like 10 years in the military. And this is an important part of the story because I didn't have, as you can see, like I don't really have a solid foundation of somebody that resembles like this massive success, like all these accolades, numbers, and things that Athena just, mentioned out. If you were to put me on a board with like maybe 5 or 10 other people that maybe graduated college or like had parents with money or did this, did that, you'd be like, dude, that guy Douglas like was not there's no way that it's him, right? So, I'll fast forward the story a little bit and end up joining the Navy, joined as a hospital corpsman. I got in and I was like a tech guy, like I love computers. I could break down a computer and I could build it back up in a few minutes. I was the kid that would take apart the car and rebuild it, right? Kind of like an engineer. So I was really good at like understanding I'm really good at like understanding complex problems and then making them really simple so that you can solve them. And that's kind of, and I have a very analytical mind. And that's kind of like how I operated. So when I joined the Navy, I was like, I wanted to be an information system technician. So I wanted to work on computers. So when I was in boot camp, about 9 days into boot camp, they have this time where it's like a moment of truth, right? You go into boot camp and this really big buff chief, gets in front of everyone. He's like, all right, guys, if you've ever like smoked weed, went to jail, got in trouble, did anything like that at all, we're going to find out. So you tell us right now. So I was like this scared kid. And guess what? When I was 17, I actually got caught shoplifting at Target. And it was like a big deal. It was over $500. And when I was joining the Navy, my recruiter was like, hey man, look, this whole like arrest that you had for shoplifting at Target, like it's expunged, it's a weight erased from your record. You never have to bring it up. So if anybody ever asks you anything about it at all, like just play dumb. Like, nothing ever happens. So I'm like, okay, so I join the Navy, get into boot camp. Now there's this moment of truth. And this guy's basically telling me that they're going to kick me out the military or take my money away or take my rank unless I tell the truth, right? So I go into the office where I'm doing an interview because in order to be in IT, you had to have like a certain clearance, right? You had to have like a certain clearance to like have that job. And I go in there and I'm like, hey, the first question that he asked me, hey, have you ever went to jail? I'm like, dang, can we not like warm up to the question? Like this is like the first question he asked me. And I immediately say, yeah, when I was 17, I was shoplifting from Target. I got caught, but it's expunged my record. It's gone. It's all good now, right? And he immediately just like closes my record and says, hey, you have to pick a different job. So I end up going back out the room. I call my mom. I call my grandma. There's two people I called, and I'm crying. I'm bawling. I'm telling Granny, hey, Granny, they don't want me to be in IT. They said I have to pick another job or I can go home. That was the option. And my granny was like, come home, baby. Like, you don't need to join the military. Come home. We'll figure something out. So then I hang up with my grandma and I call my mom. And my mom's like, mommy, they don't want me to be in IT. It's because I stole from Target. And and then my mom was like, well, baby, you're already there. Like, can't you get another job? I'm like, I can get another job. And she asked me, well, is there a medical option? Can you go into the medical field? And I said, well, yeah, there actually is. I could be a hospital corpsman. So I end up staying and going to the medical field. So it's kind of interesting because growing up, my grandma actually had a lot of influence in my life, but it's because of my mom that she had the job and she worked nights and she endured so much pain and things from my dad. Um, she was still showing up in those key moment in my life to give me that little bit of encouragement to stay in the Navy. Because if I would have stayed home, guys, I would not be on this call with you, right? If I would have stayed home, I probably wouldn't have found marketing. I probably wouldn't have found all these things. So I ended up staying in the military. And I'll fast forward, to about 2014. I go on a deployment to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and the Philippines. And it was a humanitarian mission. Okay. So we're out on these islands, and we're, building schools for kids. We're, rendering medical aid. We're doing a whole bunch of like good human work. This is like some of the best work that I think I've ever done as a human on this deployment. And on that deployment, I get advanced to the rank of E6. So, you guys may or may not know, but E6 is like a really high level supervisory rank. And it takes the average person 12 years to make that rank. And I did it in 5 years. Okay. So I did it in less than half the time. And you might be asking yourself, like, how did you do that? Right. And the way I was able to do that is because I had a very clear understanding early on that if there's somewhere that I wanted to go, I had to help other people get to where they're trying to go. Right. So what I did was I helped my junior sailors and everyone that was underneath me. I helped and held their hand and roused them up through the ranks. So if there was a program I was putting on, if there was anything that I was doing, I always took them with me. Right. So I made rank, I made more money. I got different opportunities, and so did they. Right. And that same mentality I took on into the military. I get back from that into the entrepreneurship. I get back from that deployment, and I'm like, man, I think I've done a lot in the military. It's only been 5 years. I'm E6. I could probably be an officer. I can do all these things. But then I started to really change my mindset around the value of my time. Right. And then and that's when I started to like listen to people like Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar. Actually, that quote that I just gave you is a Zig Ziglar quote. It says, help enough other people get what they want, you'll have all you want in life. Right. And when I read that quote, I was like, crap, oh shit, that's exactly how I had success when I was in the military. So now let me take this same concept and implement it in the business sector as an entrepreneur. And then now you fast forward and you're like, wow, look at this guy's results. Look at what I've been able to do. It's because I maintain that same demeanor and how I show up and how I help other people win. Right. And I think that is like a solid piece of advice that I want to give to you guys right now, as well as a lot of other things that we're going to cover. That if you have to get around people that are doing big things. You guys, hats off to you and congratulations for like being in this room right now, because there's a lot of people that aren't bettering themselves. There's a lot of people that are kind of just taking it as it comes. But you guys are deciding, on a Thursday evening or afternoon or wherever you're at in the world, Thursday, Friday morning, um, to be here with me, and I think that's like, keep doing that, because that's how you're going to progress. That's how you're going to continue to grow, so um I mean, just back to the story, and I'll wrap it up and we'll get into some slides here. But I found, digital marketing, and then I built this company. So I started by doing lead generation. That was like the first thing that I found. I got really, really good in local lead generation. All right. So like running ads for little brick and mortar businesses. Right. And by the way, let me pause real quick for a second. Can you guys drop in the chat like what your business is, or who do you service, or what do you sell? You can just say like lead generation for chiropractors. You can say I do AI marketing for real estate. Just give me, or I'm a real estate agent, right? Let me know in the chat so I can get an idea of like what you guys do in the chat, and that'll be helpful because I can curate certain examples and things too as we get deeper into the content. But yeah, so my thing when I first started was doing lead generation, like I said, for local businesses. We actually did it for over 50 different small business verticals. Right. So think of the chiropractor, the dentist, I mean, roofers, electricians, car dealerships. I could go on and on. Salons. We did so many different verticals. And what I was doing is I was compiling basically a database of ad campaigns and landing pages and funnels and copy and images and offers and all these things that worked for that niche, for that micro niche. And so what happened from there is I was actually making, I think in my first 4 or 5 months of starting my business, late 2014, I actually replaced my annual salary that I was making in the Navy, right? So it's like 50 grand a month in like 4 or 5 months. and the Navy was paying me that annually, and I was making that monthly, and I did that in less than 6 months. So you can see like how fast I had success. And it's because I was willing to do things that a lot of people aren't willing to do, you know? So I get asked a lot, like, Doug, how'd you get clients, when you first started? Right. Back in 2014, 2015, guys, we obviously didn't have an AI. Like, we couldn't set up an AI appointment setter and drive traffic to a DM and have appointments booked on our calendar while we sleep. Right. All right. This is what I did. I would literally have a lunch break. Okay. In the Navy, I get an hour and a half lunch break. I would change out of my uniform, get into some like nice business casual clothes. I had a legit briefcase and I would go walk into businesses, legitimately walk into businesses and ask for the owner. And my pitch was, hey, we have an overflow of referrals for, patients looking for chiropractor services. Who's the owner of this clinic? We would like to get these, referrals over to you guys. Right. So that was my pitch. That was it. Hey, I have people that want your service. We want to partner with someone that can fulfill those services. Who's the best person to talk to? Okay. That pitch right there, guys, is the easiest way to get clients. That from a language, from a copy perspective, whether that's doing outbound calls, outbound DMs, running ads, any and everything, Facebook groups. There's a ton of different strategies we can go to on client acquisition. But that was my pitch. And guess what? About 40% of the time, I would set a meeting with the business owner. Either there on the spot, I was introduced, or someone gave me their phone number or their email, or let me book a call with them right on the spot. So I knew if I can, on my lunch break, if I can walk into 10 businesses, I can get 4 appointments, right? And that's how I was scaling my agency at the time, right? And then I got a little bit more sophisticated, right? I would there's a tool. I think it's still I think it still works. It's called Sales Genie. Okay, you go to Sales Genie and you pay 50 cents for the full contact information of business owners, right? You can get their name, email, phone number. It'll let you search by industry. It'll let you search by location, geographical location. Okay. And I was just paying, I would take, a couple $100 and I'd get, 400 or so. Yeah, about 400 contacts. And I would just call them. I would just start to call them up and start to email them up. And that's how I was getting leads. Okay. Actually, that was more in advance, more sophisticated, more advanced, and actually a paid route. More of a free route that I would use is there's email scraper tools that you can get. You can go you can Google or ask ChatGPT now, hey, give me the best free email scraping tool for lead generation, right? And it's likely a Google Chrome extension that you can just install. And then when you search something on Google, let's say you want to search chiropractors in San Diego, or search online health coaches in the United States, or search real estate agents, Dallas, Texas, right? You do that search on Google, you click the little Chrome extension, and then boom, it immediately analyzes all the websites on that page of Google, finds all the contact information, and pushes it straight to a CSV file. And that's something you could do like right now. Those things exist. And I was doing that back then. That existed back then. And then I would just email and text, and I wasn't even using autoresponders. How many of you guys here, all you guys probably use like something like GHL. GHL didn't even wasn't even around back then. Like email autoresponders, I can't even tell you. ActiveCampaign was around. I remember ActiveCampaign was the first autoresponder going, but before that, I was just manually sending emails, and I was texting people straight up from my phone. So yeah, I would do those things to acquire clients, right? Here's another funny thing I would do. I would go into mom and pop cafes and mom and pop coffee shops, and I would find the cork board. So you ever been in a mom and pop coffee shop or a little cafe, like mom and pop local spot? There's always a cork board, right? And what's on the cork boards? It's business cards. Everyone's like pinning their business cards on the board. I would go in there and freaking clean house. I would take all the business cards down and I would leave one business card. You guys want to guess what business card I would leave? I left mine. Clean them all up. And I would go home and call every single one of them. So guys, look, this is the work. This is doing the work. Okay, this is what's required. You guys sign up to be in business. You guys sign up to have this life for yourself. Whatever it is what you want to do for you and your family, you freaking make it happen. Like, I wish I had things like Atena's software that you guys, I believe all you guys have access to, or should have access to. If you're not using, you should use it, right? That can, create copy in like a few seconds, basically for anything, right? I had to write everything manually. If you guys have been around in the marketing space for any more than 3 years, you know what I'm talking about, right? Things are way more streamlined, sophisticated nowadays, but this is the work, you know? So so just going back up to wrap up, kind of like this journey, and I'll throw up some slides here in a second. But yeah, the only reason why I got into coaching, like, I get asked often, Doug, why do you coach? Like, if what you do is so good, making money with these local businesses and running ads for people. I also ran ads for I didn't just run ads for local businesses. My network started to build. I started to go to conferences and stuff as an attendee, right? Not speaking or anything. And I started to make friends in the space. And I actually had the opportunity to run marketing campaigns for some of the biggest names you guys might know, like Grant Cardone and Jordan Belfort and Spectacular Smith and, John Crestani. And just like, there's a ton of guys that I've worked with that I ran their ads, ran their marketing campaigns, and I spent millions on ads for them. But the only reason why I got into coaching, right, I was minding my own business. I was making my own money, right? I wasn't trying to get into coaching, consulting, and have like info products and all this stuff. The only reason why I got into that is because people would not leave me the heck alone. They're like, dude, how are you making money? Like, teach me, right? So there's something that one of my mentors, Randy Massengale, told me. Okay, Randy Massengale, he's a super sweet older Black gentleman. He lives up in Seattle, and he was actually the senior advisor to Bill Gates for many, 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 many years. And he told me that there's two tyrants of leadership. Okay, so two tyrants of leadership. What that means is basically when you start to have success and you're on your come up, and you guys put a stake in the ground and says, hey, and say, hey, I'm ready for change. I want a better life. I'm ready for opportunity. I want a better options for me and my family. You start to do that. And immediately when you make that decision, start to tell people about it, what do they generally do? 8 or 9 times out of 10, they scrutinize you, right? They tell you every reason why that's a dumb idea and why you should go back to work, and why you should maybe come out to the bar. Your boys are like, hey man, get off your laptop, go, come out to the bar and have a drink with us. Your wife's like, hey, the diaper needs to be changed, or, all the, there's sacrifices that have to be made on both sides in the household. Like, if you're married or if you're in a relationship, that significant other, if you're going to be married long-term, they have to be bought in and be supportive of whatever you're trying to do. Right. And so scrutinizing is something I experienced heavily as well. When I was in the military, I started to launch my business and I was making a lot of money, and I had superiors coming to me and say, hey, you're going to stop this business, or we're going to kick you out the military, and we're going to take your money and take your rank from you. Right. So I got scrutinized hard, and they actually did. They put me down this whole process, and then they let me go. They were like, no, you're fine. You're not breaking any rules. And then they left me alone. And then I finished my time, and I eventually got out the military. But the other tyrant to leadership, not just scrutiny, but the other one is expectations, right? So what happens when you guys start to make money and you start to have success and you start to do really cool things, right? And they see your lifestyle's changing. They see the new house you bought. They see the new car you bought. They see that vacation that they know probably cost many thousands of dollars to go on. They start to say, hey, Can you teach me too? Hey, can you give me a loan? Hey, your mom needs a new car, right? They start to expect things from you. So the reason why I got into coaching is because of expectations. I had a master chief come up to me. He told me, a master chief is a very high ranking person in the Navy. All right. It's the highest you can go in the active duty side. And he told me this. He said, hey, I've been in the Navy for 26 years. I'm getting out next month and I'm 45 years old and I don't want to sit in a classroom full of 19-year-olds. You know, will you teach me what you do to make money? And so what I did was I said yes. And I went home, I recorded a bunch of videos. I documented my whole process, how to get clients, how to fulfill for them. Here's the copy and paste systems. I put them in the video. I put it in Dropbox. Okay. Put it in Dropbox, gave them link, and he gave me $900 for it. And then the following weekend, he landed a client that was paying him $1,500 a month. Right. And that was like my light bulb. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are willing to pay you for education, willing to pay you for information, willing to pay you for what's in your brain. And then that just kind of grew. Right. So now I'm in the coaching space. Right. And I launched this coaching company and I'm selling courses. Right. You guys know people that sell courses. Maybe some of you guys do that here too. You know, and it's do it yourself, right? You know how it works. You pay maybe a few $100s to a few $1,000s and you get a login and boom, you watch the videos, you go implement it. Hopefully it works, right? And then people eventually are like, hey, I want more access to you, Doug. Can we work with your team in group settings and do Zoom calls? Can we get coached by you and your team, right? So then we rolled out an online university, which is like a done with you program, which is like 8 weeks. You log in once a week. There's a live instructor. We go through the curriculum. You build as you go, ask questions every week. And then they started to say, hey, Doug, it'd be cool if you guys just built a lot of the stuff for us so that we could just take it to market and go land clients. And we're like, okay, so I created a done for you program, right? And at this point, I'm charging 25K for this done for you program, right? So for 90 days, we build out their whole agency, give them coaching, right? And one-on-one stuff too, right? They'll go a high level, their automations, they give them all the snapshots, give them all the ad campaigns, give them literally everything. We design their logo, their website, make them look like rock stars online, do social media posts, design their social media profiles, LinkedIn, everything. And then they're like, dude, I want to see you in person. You know, so I'm like, okay, cool. So all we did was bolt on a 2-day workshop at my penthouse, gave them the 90-day 25K package, but then bolted on a 2-day workshop and said, all right, look, we're going to build all your stuff out in a weekend. We're going to turn on ads Sunday morning. You're going to have calls booked either that night or the next morning. My team's going to take those calls and we're going to close the sale for you, their first sale. And that's what we did. And we charged 50K for that. And then we gave them 90 days of support after that. So expectations, right? People see you do things, they're gonna ask for more, right? So the story here is don't cut yourself short. Like you guys here are probably charging like let me know in the chat right now if you're charging less than less than $3,000 for your product right now. Like just say yes in the chat or just give me a 1 in the chat.
Just put 1 in the chat if you're selling products less than 3K. And it's quite interesting, Douglas, you mentioned about that you've been creating the high ticket as it was demanded by your clients. And that's exactly what happened to us. So it was like, I literally sat down with one of our clients 2 weeks ago in Miami. And then she started saying about what was her pain point and what is the next journey for her. So she built a 6-figure business in a couple of weeks after joining the program. She's absolutely on fire. And I said, okay, what do you need? She said, this is what I need. So I said, okay, if I create a product for 120K, would you take it? She said, yes. So I literally created an offer of 120K right in front of the client. And she said, yes. I'm like, this is how we create the offers, right? You understand what your clients want. And based on that, you go and create an offer that suits them. I know we have a 100K offer.
You just got to listen to your people. That they'll tell you what you want. And then you just go build it. Right? You meet people where they're at, you create enough value. Price is just fugazi. You guys can charge whatever you want. So there's some people that rogered up and said they're charging less than 3K. Bless your hearts, right? Even if you're selling more than 3K, if you're selling 10K or less, guys, you can probably charge at least twice as much as what you're charging right now and deliver the same product or service. And your customer will probably pay it as long as it's good. All right. I'm telling you, I sold courses for $900 and then I brought my packages all the way up to 50K, actually 55K. It got up to 55K and then I charged 5K for a +1. So 60K technically. That's the most I've ever charged anyone to come hang out with me. So price, you know, if and here's another thing about with high ticket guys. If you're running ads, like give me a 2 in the chat if you run ads right now, like you're actively spending money on ads, right?
Got
If
you in
you're
the
running,
chat.
yeah, just put a 2 in the chat. I'm going to keep talking. But if you're spending money on ads, you guys got to be able to afford ads. So if you're trying to sell $1,000, $2,000 thing or a $400 thing on ads, you might lose your ass because the cost per acquisition might be more than what you're actually charging at the same time. So consider these things, you know, consider costs. There's economies of scale, right? So anyway, I do have some slides. I talked a bunch, but I think all of that is relevant so that you guys know exactly where I'm coming from of why I created this technology, right? And I'll go into the technology here in a second, but you know, we scale this offer. We do actually, with everything that I've been involved in now that I've been the CEO of, we actually done just over 100 million in revenue. We spent 30 million on ads. I've also spent over 300 million on ads for my clients, some of the big people that I mentioned earlier, right? So you have to be able to charge accordingly so that you guys don't lose money. Okay. So at this point, I say all that because I have a very deep understanding of the high ticket space of running traffic. Okay. There was times in my organization, I built my company up to over 100 employees. And for me, guys, it's not 100 employees. It's literally 100 families. Okay. So if I don't make payroll, it's not 100 dudes that can just go find a couple nickels to get a Big Mac, or whatever. No, they have like daughters and sons and wives, or vice versa. I had a lot of women in my organization. They have families too, right? So for me, that's a big deal because I have a family. I'm raising kids. If I was a part of this organization and my boss couldn't pay me, that'd be a big deal because I put all my time, energy, and sweat into their mission and vision, right? So I take this stuff very serious. So, there was months where like I would spend $1 million and lose $1 million, but everyone got paid. I lost $1 million out the reserve account. It got so bad. Actually, I mean, we did big numbers, right? If you did the math on that, that's roughly about a 2.5x ROAS. Not bad, but when you're in it, going through it, we had to start looking at the P&L over a quarter, like 3-month time. And it got so intense where like I just had to assume every quarter, like 2 months, I was going to take a loss, but there was going to be that third month, whether it's in the beginning, middle of the quarter, at the end, it was going to be a crazy explosive month where it's like, boom, new all-time high revenue, right? And it made up for the bad months. Because with high ticket, and why does that happen? You might be asking yourself. With high ticket, if you guys sell anything over 3K, 5K, or 10K, these are purchases that might not be readily available on someone's credit card, right? They might need to go open up a new line of credit, or they might need to get their wife's card and put it together, or they might need to go raise the funds, right? So we actually got really efficient at helping people raise money. I actually launched a funding company where right now we lend out about 5 million a month for other people that are selling high ticket products or service. And we do that all through credit cards, right? And then my software that I'll talk about here in a second does the underwriting and pre-approvals with just name, email, phone number for those said credit cards, right? So that's another lesson. Like if you're selling high ticket, depending on who you're selling to as well, like B2B business owners, they typically have the cash. Actually, no, they need funding too, right? We all need funding. If you have a credit score, it's a lot better to leverage your credit rather than use your cash. Would you guys agree? Because if you put it on the credit, you get up to 30 days to pay it off without penalty, right? And then you could write it off and you earn points. Like, guys, I have not bought a plane ticket uh or paid for a Marriott or Hilton hotel in 5 years. I just flew my whole family here to Dallas for free, basically for points, right? So American Express, the chasing card, that's a whole strategy. Look, if you're spending money on ads, or even if you're not even running ads and you have business costs, get a darn credit card that is rewarding you up to 5 points on all your purchases, right? You could use that for travel. You can use that for groceries, Amazon, a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. So, um, so yeah, so what I'm going to do now, because I want to actually go into some slides and I want to show you guys LeadFi, right? And this was created because I got tired of bad leads. I got tired of people signing up on my website, opting into my ad campaigns, saying that they have money on their application. And when it came down to it and they're on the sales call, they either ghost or they're broke, right? That's what was happening a lot. And then in that endeavor, my marketing team the whole time was optimizing ad campaigns based off of what somebody put on the application. So you guys know what I'm talking about? If you got who here, like give me a one in the chat if you guys do an application before someone books a call and you're really just trying to figure out what their money's like. Give me a one in the chat if you guys do that.
If you qualify your leads by asking some questions. So Douglas, exactly that's what we've been doing. We literally try like 10, 20 different variations of the qualification questions before book a call, and they kind of like, oh, okay, maybe we change this question, and they kind of like trying to figure it out. If you ask them about the financial, is it rude? They're gonna drop off. As one of the question is, we've been asking how it's going to affect the conversion rate if you try to ask too many questions. But if you don't ask too many questions, then we're gonna get bad lead. How can we get around qualifying them without actually affecting the conversion rate?
Yeah, exactly. So
It's
you
painful.
guys can essentially remove your application, stop asking about people's money because honestly, it's off-putting. I personally don't answer questions when people on applications of some stranger I just met on the internet when they're asking me about my money. Okay. Your customers are not doing it either. The market's more sophisticated now. My technology, LeadFi, can give you that data in real time. You don't have to ask the questions. And guess what's going to happen? Remove the application or at least remove the financial questions. Your cost per call is going to drop by at least 30%. Why? Because about 30% of people drop drop out of the application anyway when you ask them questions. So how would you like to go from a $100 book call to at least $70, right? That would be nice, right? Cheaper cost, whatever you might be paying. So let me share my screen here, and I'm going to go through some slides with you guys real quick, and let me just make sure that this is the right deck. Okay, here we go. So I'm not even going to do like a present, like, you guys can see the next slides, whatever. I'm just going to kind of go through like this.
Yeah.
But look, this is what LeadFi can do. Okay. Like I said, I got into this because I got tired of bad leads. And I think the idea came from one day. I was just like, look, I want to be able to soft credit pull people right when they opt into my funnel. I was like, that's going to give me the closest idea of what someone's money actually looks like, right? Without me depending on what they tell us over the phone in a set or triage call or what they put on an application. So to do a soft pull is not new, guys. Let me be clear. Soft pulling is not new. You go buy a house, buy a car, you guys get a pre-approved credit card in the mail. Okay. You're being soft pulled at least. So this is just the first time it's in the internet marketing world. So I have a partner that's been in the finance space for almost 20 years. He's been doing underwriting for a bunch of banks. I'm also a minor investor in another company that's building AI that's helping businesses AI enable. We also run a fund that trades commodity futures as well. That's a whole separate thing. We can maybe, I'll talk to Atena. Maybe we can do another call in the future. We could talk about all that stuff. But we have a team of 20 PhDs. So we all put our heads together here and we're like, this is what I want to do. Is it possible? My partner already was working on some tech. He's like, It's not impossible. I think it's possible. We got the PhDs, we figured it out. So basically, what we built is the only identity verification technology on the market that takes a name, email, phone number in real time through API, identifies what their true identity is. Then we get like their date of birth, we get their address, we know who their kids are, like freaking everything. And then we just go to the bureaus and we soft pull them, boom, in real time. And we get all the data. So this is legal. It's legit. I'll explain here in a second. I kind of told you guys my story. 10-year Navy vet, spent over 100 million in ads. Here's some pictures of some of the 50K penthouse workshops. Last 3 years, I've been on the Inc. 5000 and top 700. Just means my company is one of the fastest growing companies in America. But yeah, so this is the data you get in real time, right? When somebody opts in with name, email, phone number. So I'm able to get their exact credit score. I'm able to get exactly how much money they could spend on their credit cards right now in their wallet. How would you guys like to know how much money you can charge on someone's credit card before you talk to them, right? I get their annual income, their debt to income ratio. I can see all of their utilization, all their open lines. And then we have underwriting. So then we take all of these data points and we underwrite them pre-approvals for additional funding and financing options as well, for credit cards, for Klarna, Affirm, or Afterpay, for bank loans, right? So that's what we're able to do. That's the data that you get in real time. And look, I'm going to be very upfront about this. We don't scrape IP. There is technology where you can scrape anonymous users' data, right? And that's only about 40% accurate. Okay. And then whatever you do get, it's ranges and estimations. So you're not going to be able to underwrite or really know what somebody's money looks like for that. And then half of the time, half of the phone numbers that you might collect through these sources are on a do not call list. So it's illegal to call or text message them. We don't do that. Okay. Our data is 100% accurate. We pull straight from the bureaus. I just explained what the technology is like. We mainly pull from Experian, but we can pull from TransUnion and Equifax as well. And we could also get true FICO 8 score as well. So use case. Let me show you this other mirror board real quick. Cool. You guys see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So use case. So now getting the information is one thing, right? It's cool. It's sexy. Oh my gosh, I know who's broke and who's not. Now I can just focus on who's not broke, right? So because of my background and, actually integrating this technology into your funnel is like a whole other thing. So guys, we have clients, we have over 100 6-figure to 9-figure brands using this already. And they're either doing high ticket, they're doing low ticket. Okay. They're doing VSLs, webinars, challenges, book a call funnels. Some of them even doing high end e-com or local lead gen for brick and mortar. So whether you're running ads or you have an email list or a text message list, or you do organic DMing on Instagram or something like that, you're running this is all your traffic sources. You're going to some kind of page where you're asking for name, email, phone. Am I wrong? Okay. You got to get their name, email, phone to eventually try to do business. It could be a lead magnet. It could even be an application. Some of you guys might run directly to an application, no lead magnet. That'll work too. All we do is we set up a one-time API integration with you. All right. If you use GHL, easy. It's webhooks. It's just 2 webhooks in the workflow automation. You give us a webhook, we give you a webhook. We actually set it up for you. So when the lead comes in, it gets shot up to LeadFi, right? And then we enrich it with this data that I mentioned just a couple minutes ago. And then we webhook it right back into your CRM. So now inside your picture this, you're about to take a call with John Smith. You open up his GHL contact record, or in Zoho or Pipedrive or Infusionsoft or whatever you're using. And you go down and there's a drop-down menu that says LeadFi, and then boom, you see all of this information in custom fields in the contact record, right? That's exactly what we're able to do. So here's an example. This is actually a GHL example right here. You can see this person's got a 781 credit score. They can spend 84 grand right now on their credit cards. They're pre-approved for another 78K. So this person can actually spend up to 160K. They're a qualified lead. They're making $102,000 a year. Okay. So boom, that's an example of what it'll look like. This is close.io. This is, I believe this is Infusionsoft. We've done any every CRM at this point. And then we can even do super custom stuff with Zapier if it's necessary. But now you have the data live in your CRM. So what you can do is the person just opted in. So they're probably watching your VSL or waiting for your webinar to start, right? What you can do is manipulate their journey, right? Based off of how much money they have. So let's say we do lead scoring. We either do sales qualified or not sales qualified. So sales qualified typically for us is a minimum has access to 10 grand or more, right? Either through current lines of credit or additional lines of credit, right? If they're not qualified, that's anyone that has access to less than 10K. These are fully modifiable parameters. You guys might say, hey, I need my leads to have access to at least 3 grand, okay? Or at least 25K, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. So what happens is when the person clicks the button that's on this page, the VSL page or the webinar weight room page or whatever page this might be, you might have just sold them a $47 low ticket product, and now you're trying to send them the high ticket to book a call. The button is custom coded based off of their financial capability, if they're qualified or not, right? So if they're qualified, when they click the button, you can allow them to book a call, right? And if they're not qualified, when they click the button, you can push them down like a low ticket journey where they're buying another maybe $200 product or $1,000 product with a payment plan or something, right? So the point here is now you can manipulate the lead flow in your funnel based off of what their financial capability is. So when I'm gonna show you this real quick. So I sold 5K, 10K, 25K, right? And then I had the 50K, which was an invite only after we secured a 25K package, right? So that's how I sold my 50Ks. So we deliver you guys tiered qualification, right? So let's say, so tier 1 is somebody that has access to say 10 grand to 30K, tier 2 is 30K to 50K, and tier 3 is 50K plus, right? And then we do have a tier 0. I haven't updated this yet, but we do have a tier 0, and tier 0 is somebody that makes 100 grand or more a year with a debt to income ratio of 50 or less. So this person we're finding on average has around 20 grand liquid cash available to PIF on a product, okay? So what happens is the lead comes through, right? And we could actually redirect them to a particular webinar, a particular VSL, or even a book a call calendar to certain reps that sell certain products. That way, they're getting placed on the product that meets their true financial capability, right? So if they're, let's say they have access to, 15 grand, right? And you're selling a 5, 10, and 25K. Well, you don't want to send them to the 5K because that's a little low. They have 15K. So and the 25K is too expensive for them. So you don't want to put them on that offer. Put them right in the center. Go for the 10K, right? So now the reps and the salespeople don't have to guess what to sell. They could just place them on the right product at the right time. And now you're maximizing your cash collected. Does this make sense? So that's what you can do in the lead routing. Now, the last piece here, and I'll go to the next slide and we'll wrap up here in just a few minutes, and then we'll do Q&A. The last piece here is for you guys that run ads. And if you're not running ads, by the way, and you're talking about, hey, I want to have this business and do all these numbers, guys, you got to run ads. I'm going to tell you that right now. You got to run ads and you got to spend, right? But there's a way to do it methodically where you don't lose your ass, okay? But you have to run ads. Try to get your mind wrapped around the paid ads game. You can exhaust networking. You can exhaust Facebook groups. You can exhaust, free organic methods. But if you want to open up true scale, it's through paid ads, okay? Walmart, Target, Express, American Eagle, okay? All the shops that you shop at, run ads, okay? Success leaves clues. So don't think and put this whole goal in this pie in the sky goal, but your actions are diametrically opposed to that goal. Like you need to figure out a route of how you're going to do that. And I can almost guarantee you there's a paid ads game at some point. It may not be right away, but consider it. Okay. That's how you scale, and you can get it to the point where it's predictable. So anyway, back to ads. Now that you have this information in your CRM per contact record, what we do is we build you an API so that if you want to target as close as possible to 700 plus credit score, you can do that, right? So all we do is feed the name, email, phone back to your Meta and Google ad campaigns, either via the API, either to fill up a lookalike audience, or we can put a filter if you're using something like Hyros. And in Hyros, we filter campaigns based off of, highest revenue plus highest credit score. And then you focus on scaling those, and those yield the highest ROAS we've ever seen. So for clients that are running ads with LeadFi, on average right now, we're seeing around a 40% increase in the number of qualified leads that are coming into the funnel. So these are just 40% more leads that can afford a standard 10K or more package. Whereas before LeadFi, these 40%, you guys probably would have disqualified and said, hey, they can't afford my product or service. So, sayonara, have a great life. You don't collect any cash from them. Hopefully you're collecting a low ticket from them. Like 30-40% of your revenue should be coming from low ticket, actually, if you're in the high ticket space. Why is that? Because that's 70 to 80% of the traffic you generate. That's why strategically rerouting people based off finances here to low ticket, it makes so much more sense. If somebody only has, a couple grand on their card and you're trying to sell a 5K, you don't want to waste. First of all, don't waste your time talking to them over the phone. You can put a setter on them and just put them on the 2K offer, but you can reroute them to an automated webinar or even a setter's calendar that's pitching that here. Okay. So yeah, guys, that's like some use cases for LeadFi. Some of the results we're seeing on average, revenue and close rates are going up around 30%. I have clients that are doubling revenue. I don't promise that. Everyone's different. If you run ads with it and you route your leads appropriately, and if we can integrate with your sales team, that's when our clients are getting the best results. Yeah, I mean, we integrate into any CRM, Pipedrive, Zoho. I think a lot of you guys use GHL. I get asked, is this legal, Doug? Like, are you being weird right now? Look, if you guys have received pre-approved credit cards in the mail, we all do, especially if you're in the United States. I don't know about Canada and Australia and the UK, what you guys got going on with credit cards, but here in the US, our for lack of a better word, excuse my French, but our credit gets ran like we get raped. Like it's constantly being checked. We're getting like, my wife got like 3 cards in the mail right before we got to Dallas. I got like 2 in the mail. So all we do is we follow the FCRA, okay, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. All it states is, hey, in your privacy policy, you got to add that you do soft credit checks to better serve your customers and it doesn't impact their credit. And then you got to follow the TCPA. The TCPA is that little checkbox that you check whenever somebody gives you their phone number. And it just says, hey, we're going to promote to your phone number. You can opt out at any point. And you agree to our terms of service and our privacy policy. You do that and you're in compliance. And like I said, we already have like over 100 6-figure all the way up to 9-figure brands using this. This is just a small example. There's actually some other really big names that aren't on here that I can mention that you guys probably already know. But these just might be some familiar faces. I'm not even going to mention any of them. You either know them or you don't. I really like working with sales orgs as well because they have access to portfolios of business. And then, so outside that, guys, I mean, LeadFi, it does what it does. It helps you identify exactly who has money and who doesn't have money. So if that's useful to you guys, if you think you can use that data to make more money and actually create more impact on what you guys do, I'll invite you guys to schedule a call with me. And I told Atena this, this is going to go to my personal calendar. I'm going to talk to you guys personally and give you guys time with me. And we can talk about integrating LeadFi into your business. So if you're generating leads or selling a product that's at least, I would probably say at least $3,000 or more, this is good. This is going to be the best fit. Even if you're selling a product that's 1,000 or 2,000 and you just want better segmentation on sending people down your funnel appropriately based off of what their finances look like, we can totally do that as well. Generating lead wise, minimums, we don't necessarily have minimums, but if you're generating at least, I would say 300 to 500 leads a month minimum. that's a good starting point because there's enough meat on that bone for us to actually work with. If you're not generating leads right now, or if you're just starting your business, this is obviously not going to be the best fit. You got to get your business together, generate some traffic, either that's organically or through paid ads. But if you are generating leads and you sell at least a 1K or a 3K plus product, all the way up to 100K or more, some of our clients are selling 100 grand or more, we can definitely work with you. So you can either scan the QR code. I think, Atena, you want to drop your link that I gave you earlier into the
Yes.
chat, let me book
Yeah,
a call.
back in there. Thank you
And then
so
when you guys do the call with me too, and when you book your call, if it prompts you to say where you guys came from, just drop Atena's name as well, so I know what community you're part of, because I could remember our conversation and kind of what I presented here. And then also too, I'll give you guys this. So if everyone's done like taking out their phone and taking a picture of this or scanning it or clicking the link in the chat, I want to give you guys a one pager as well. This is just a one pager on LeadFi, on different use cases, how to use it, some case study results, all of that good stuff. So you're welcome to scan this. It's a Google document. And so you guys can research it, look it up later, and do your homework on it as well. So, I mean, that's basically it for me, guys. Tina, I think if we want to do some Q&A from here, I hope that was useful for you guys. So,
It was amazing. Thank you so much, Douglas. What an inspiring story, first of all. And also, it's very amazing to see your journey, how it's all started, and then you go into the high ticket industry, and then you try, after being in the being a coach and being in the high ticket industry, you found a problem, a real problem in this industry, which is the lead quality. And that's something that who else here can relate? That you're just tired of these broke leads. You have your sales team, you have your marketing, you pay so much money for the paid advertising, you talk to people, and the number one objection with everyone is we don't have money. And the other thing, Douglas, we found out is like even if we have the qualification questions in the form, they don't sell the truth. They don't say the truth. That's the thing.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
very, very difficult to be able to get what actually is the financial capacity of someone to be able to sell a high ticket. And that's one of the things we've been trying to figure out. And that's how I came across Douglas. Because I came across Douglas, I was like, this is the solution to my problem. Because paid advertising expensive, high ticket industry only works when you talk to the qualifying lead. And how do we qualify them? Tired of all of those forms, it affect your conversion rate. You're kind of gonna say, people are gonna say, why are you asking me all that questions? Why are you asking me how much financial capacity I have? It's none of your business. So what happens with the lead? They drop. So you're going to lose a lot in conversion because of asking those questions. And if you don't ask those questions, you're going to get everyone in your pipeline, and then you're going to pay your setters and closer for wasting their time. So this is a real pain and issues in the high ticket industry. And then what Douglas did with this software, he literally had a solution to it. And it's not just one of those scraping websites, as he mentioned. We used some of them in the past. They're not accurate. What the Douglas does, lead FI does, is 100% accurate. Not even 99%, 100% accurate. That you know exactly every lead that you get, how much is their financial score. And based on that, you could offer, like, especially how many of you has here have multiple offers? Put in the chat if you have multiple offer, put chat in the chat one. So you have an offer, let's say 3K, you have an offer of 10K, you have an offer of 20K. And the biggest problem in this industry is that when you work with your closers, the closers get, how do I know which offer do I need to offer first? Right? And then what we trying to teach them is that, oh, always try with the highest and then try to downsell. But that doesn't work because you offer them the highest, then they're gonna be scared and they're gonna put their arms on, the guards on. That's what happened with the leads. You all of a sudden gonna say 120K and they're gonna have the guards up. Once the lead has a guards up, unfortunately, they're gonna drop. So the biggest issue in the high ticket industry, and as the Douglas mentioned, that a lot of you charging like 2K, 3K, 5K, and you kind of have limited belief about what about if I just go double my price overnight? We'd never ever recommend you guys to increase your prices by 10%, 5% a year. This is so old traditional. What we've been learning from the Sam Oven, from the Alex Hormozy, all of these big coaches is about doubling the prices overnight. Like what happened with us? Our mastermind community used to be 5K. We literally wake up in the morning, it was 10K. And now I'm getting advice from my coaches that Atena, one morning, wake up in the morning, make it 20K. It doesn't make any difference with how much people you're gonna get, 10K or 20K. The only difference is that you get high quality people, high quality people. That's the only difference. So that's the thing, you guys need to model all of this learning about your product and services. And when you go to the high ticket, the best way to be able to sell is through the sales. You need to have a sales team, or you need to get outsourced sales. So just a bit of background about what the Douglas tried to cover. But we are here for the Q&A. So thank you so much, Douglas. I know that it's a Thursday night and you have a lot of things going on. So guys, we're gonna hang around for another 10-15 minutes. If you have any question, please raise your hand and unmute yourself. And then you ask your question. If you have any questions about LeadFi, about any other AI software, or just Douglas experience, Jenny. Douglas, do you mind to stop sharing the screen? So maybe
Yep.
we can just pin the faces. Amazing. So we're gonna bring Jenny on. 1 second. Here we go.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Douglas. I appreciate it. So I'm German based in China, and I'm wondering if this only works in the US or North America, or also for like in European countries or even Asian countries.
Yeah, only in US taxpayers, anyone that's applied for a credit card or, has a pulse in the US. So we're working on Canada right now. So that's not ready yet though.
Okay. Thank you.
And Jenny, by the way, like regardless of where you're located or where the business is located, they could always market to US. Like for us, for example, we are Australian based, but we have 70% of our clients are US based. And
Absolutely.
in us, Douglas, when we turned on the ads last year for different campaigns, we were always getting cheaper lead from US than Australia. That was an interesting point. That's why we ended up getting with a lot of the US clients, because it was just cheaper lead. So what we did that we allocated more marketing budget into the US versus Australia. And that's the same thing with a lot of you. You might be based in Europe or other countries, but you kind of like, because I do coaching with some of you and say, oh, I'm in Canada, and then you just thinking about selling to Canadian. I'm like, why would you not go international, especially US market is one of the biggest market in the world, right?
Yeah.
And then the other advantage, you can charge in US dollar. Because there are a lot of the Canadian clients and Australian clients that we have, Douglas, they kind of say, that our currency is weak. I'm like, charging US dollar, you're gonna make 60% more money. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, is it that simple? It is that simple.
Yeah.
And they said, what about to the Canadian client? I said, charge US currency. It's like us. We only have one currency that we charge. From day one that I launched my business, I just charge with the US currency, no matter who I sell to. That's how you need to be, that people get to know you and they pay you in the US currency. So these sort of little things, guys, could have a huge swing in your business. Yeah, there's little advice.
Yeah. I want to answer Corey's comment there. So Corey, you said there's a point where you will price out people who want it, but just can't. I don't want to exclude motivated prospects when it's outside their range. You don't have to do that at all. So the use case is optional. Getting the data, you can easily just get the data and then discern what you want to do with that customer or that prospect. So if you're just letting, I do have clients that let everyone just book a call and then they use the data to kind of discern how they want to navigate the conversation. I have customers that just take the lead scoring and have a better understanding of what product they're going to sell. But we don't. There are clients that are more advanced that will actually DQ because they have it so locked in. They will actually disqualify based off the LeadFi data, and I understand why that's a paradigm shift, because you feel like you're losing money. But if you're doing it right and putting people on the right, selling them the right offer that meets their financial capability, you're maximizing cash flow. So some of you guys might just sell like one product or two product, or maybe you have a portfolio of products, right? Maybe people come to you just because they want to make more money and change your life. And you might have 5 ways for them to do that with you based, that are all different prices, right? Whatever you sell, you can tailor their journey based on that. So I hope that makes sense. So you don't have to do like a across the board disqualification.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Looks cool. I'm very interested in it. It's just you gotta not exclude people, but it's good to know where they're at so you can meet their needs better.
Mm-hmm.
I see people will likely try to abuse it, and we've got a big problem in the U.S. with consumer debt. And so we want to be careful not to burden people. We want to do is help them invest in something that will pay off and help them get out of that situation. So the more we can do that, the better off we will feel better at the end of the day and be able to help people. So appreciate you making it easier for us to do good things as
Mhm.
well.
One thing I would love to comment is like having a free community or free resources. That's what it is for. The people that don't have money, they can still use your free resources to actually even make like the first 100,000. And something that Alex Hormozzi said, his offer that Alex Hormozzi is so high ticket, hundreds of thousands. What he's saying is that he doesn't have low ticket at all, right? Alex Hormozzi doesn't have low ticket, but what he does that he still wants to give a value to people that don't have money. What does he do? That he does a lot of content. So with his content that he does, a lot of people don't have money. They use that content to make their first 50K, 100K. Then when they're ready, they get high ticket. And that's what we did. That's why we created this free community. And it was a lot of debate for me and trying to get coaching and advice whether the AIpreneurs free has to be a paid low ticket. And I've been always against that because I was like, there are the people in developing countries that don't even have a single dollar. And I want to give value to anyone, even developing countries. That's why we have so much free resources and live sessions and Q&A and everything that we do for free for the people that don't have money. But that doesn't mean that we need to have an offer for 1K, right? So that's what you go to the world by providing free resources and build that goodwill. And then when the people are ready, then they can buy and get your like 5K offer, your 10K offer. So that's just a clarification to everyone. And the other thing that I want to mention is when I made a mention about doubling your prices overnight, we're not talking about the existing client. What we talk about are new leads, right? And I always say that, and that's why I love the Skool, because with the Skool, when the clients are join an offer, that offer is being grandfathered to them lifetime, right? So those of you that are in my mastermind community and you join with the 5K, when you come to renew, no matter, by that time, probably this program is going to be 20, 30K, right? You're still going to renew with 5K. So you're never going to be affected lifetime. So that's what I love it. Grandfathering your existing client because they've been loyal to you forever. However, with the new leads, there's absolutely no obligation for any of you want to increase your prices overnight. No one's going to win say, why did you increase your price? I say you had an opportunity to join. That's, I'm not responsible to do a big announcement if I want to increase my price, but to the existing customer, you always have to do an announcement if you are going to increase your prices for existing customer, which we never do. In our business, existing customers, they always renew with the same price, whether it's to come to our software or mastermind. This is how we do the business. But yeah, I thought I would clarify that, right? So some of you not going to be confused about, oh, you're increasing price overnight and the customer is going to get angry. We're not talking about customer, we're talking about new leads, okay? So thank you so much, Anne Corey, for bringing that up. And any more questions, guys? There's some questions.
Thanks for that clarification. Does Skool keep track of that grandfathering ability? If you say I
Yeah,
want to grandfather existing people?
yes, actually a Skool enforce you. So you don't have an option of actually increasing your pricing for the existing customer, even if you choose to. So Skool enforce you. The Skool has been built because Alex and Sam are big fan of the grandfather and the funding members, and they always want to support it. And then they design a system in a way everyone subscribe to any price, no matter what that community going to give extra values and increasing price, the renewal automatically going to be in the same price. So I love that model. I think it's absolutely genius and it's really good to build a loyalty with your existing client too.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's something you all can, take advantage of a Skool because of that reason. But get rid of the limited belief about the pricing because I've been getting a lot of coaching myself from billionaires and really big people, and everyone say the same thing. Atena, you don't have a limited belief that, oh, no one's gonna pay more than 5, and especially with Douglas Innovation, right? If you guys can get the credit score, you're never gonna have any issue with the broke leads. The people that cannot afford your 10K program, your 20K program, or 30K program. So it's
If you have the money, it's not a big deal.
yeah.
But I've been on the edge of that and maxing out, investing in myself. And there's a point where you're just like, I can't do this until I have more money coming in to do that, right? So there are people that are motivated that you don't want to price out. It's just something you got to keep in mind. And often if you just do wider marketing, you can get more and you get more momentum and all that. So it's just a strategy, but I appreciate you explaining it, and I'm glad that you do have that grandfathering for people that have paid the price to be early
Lifetime
adopters.
grandfather. Lifetime
Yeah,
grandfather.
yeah.
And the other
So
thing was that I learned from all of this mastermind that I've been in the US, so Douglas, you can comment on this one, was about that you never ever let go of a lead because they don't have money. What does it mean is that you can work with a budget, with a payment plan, interest-free payment plan. You know, like if a lead is really into your business and they really want to work with you, let's say your offer is 10K, and they say, you know what, I'm really committed, but I don't have more than 2.5 grand now. And if you truly believe that your product gonna get the return investment back as early as 4 weeks, why not give them interest free? And they can pay like that 10K over 4 months, 2.5 grand a month, and then they're not going to have potentially any issue from month two onwards because they get a return investment back. If your product is like our product is like that because of the high affiliate commission that we have, 50% commission. So if anyone joining, it's extremely hot offer to sell to anyone, so they can get their investment back within 2 weeks. They just need to go talk to a couple of people, right? That's why we started shifting from the charging the interest on the payment plan, and now we made it completely interest free. So people can, you know, pay over 4 or 5 payments, and they potentially can get the entire investment of a year back in the next few weeks. So yeah, Douglas, back to you.
Yeah, I just thought I'll share this. I actually had it up. I didn't get a chance to share it, but I mean, getting the data now that you know what someone's credit and availability looks like, we actually have underwriting relationships with a number of lenders. So, example, when the lead comes in, you look at what their credit score is, what their income is, right? And if you think they're going to be able to self-pay for cash, boom, good to go. You don't need to do a payment plan or credit or anything. But if they're not going to self-pay, you have two routes. Are they above a 600 or below a 600? Well, if they're above a 600, you'll likely get them approved on one of these three platforms. So you run them through this waterfall, right? And if they close, you might lose a little bit on fees, which is fine, but you get paid up front. If they, for whatever, get declined through that waterfall, I have an everyone as approved option. And then boom, you get paid anyway. And if they're less than 600, you just go through everyone is approved and you get paid away. You're just on the everyone approved, you're going to get the least amount of tiered money than if you were to use one of these platforms. So this is a waterfall that we give to all of our LeadFi clients with the links and everything, so they could use the funding waterfall to maximize cash collected.
Amazing.
great, thanks, Doug.
Jessica?
Yeah. I see her.
Hi.
There's Jessica put in the chat. Oh, Jessica, you want to ask your questions, or you want me to answer in the chat?
No, that's okay. If you could answer it just so everybody can hear it too. But yeah, I'd appreciate, just as starting out, what kind of pipeline you would recommend for your first advertisements and what a daily rate looks like. And
Yeah, I would definitely say the first platform you want to run ads on is Facebook. All right. I wouldn't even entertain any other platforms until you kind of figure that one out. That's where, you know, most people have a Facebook account. They're also seasoned and aged, you know, there's great targeting capabilities. I think that's the first platform that you need to figure out before you try to entertain like anything else, in my opinion. And I mean, start an ad at $5 a day, you know, get some traffic going, figure out what people are, what your CPLs are, you know, what does it cost to get a book call. I mean, actually at $5 a day, that might be kind of low, right? Like your cost per call might be, you know, $100 to $200. So now it takes you 20 days to get a call booked. So actually I would probably say there's two types of strategies you can go. You can actually, if you have a following of people on Instagram, running call to action ads at $5 a day to the following, if you're posting regular content, is a good strategy, because your cost per acquisition is going to be your cost per call is going to be a lot lower on something like that. But if you're going straight to a cold audience of people that probably have no idea who you are, never seen you, your cost per action is going to be a lot higher, right? And most people that don't have a big following of like 100,000 people, 500,000 or million plus, which is basically all of us, really, you know, you have to go to cold traffic, right? you're just going to spend a little bit more. So now that's why it's really important to monitor KPIs and all that. So you might be looking at spending a budget of like maybe $50 a day. So that would be enough to spend to push enough traffic to actually get something back. Because if you're not spending enough to get some data back, you're just wasting money, right? The fastest thing you need to look at is what does it cost to have a conversation with someone on the phone, or at least book the call. If they book the call, you know at least half of them are going to no-show. That's just a part of the business. So let's say it cost you $50 to book a call, but you have a 50% no-show rate. So now you're talking about spending $100 to actually have a decent conversation with someone over the phone. Now there's the quality side, okay? Right? It might take you, let's just be generous and say 40% of the calls you take, or 60% aren't qualified, but 40% are qualified. So now out of every 10 calls you take, which cost you $100 to have a conversation, now it's going to cost you you're going to be spending about $1,000 to get 4 qualified conversations on the phone, right? So now that cost is it costs you about $250 to get a qualified person on the phone, right? So that's the data and just in my mind in rough math that you want to try to figure out, because I'm always trying to figure out is like calls, conversations. If we can have decent calls, okay, if we know we can spend $250 for a decent conversation, qualified person, boom. Now what's our close rate? Okay, let's say we have a 20% close rate. Okay, so now I'm talking about spending $1,250 because it's 250 times 5, 20% rate. My cost per acquisition is $1,250, right? So you see, if you're selling $1,000 product, you see how you can lose money in this game right here. And these numbers are very like conservative, right? So you're losing $250 every time you close a deal. That's why you need to up your prices, right? Honestly, $1,250 is actually not that bad. My cost per acquisition got up to about $4,000 at one point, up to $5,000. I was spending $5,000 to have like a $10,000 sale. So it just kind of depends. Economies of scale. When the more you spend, the numbers get wider, and it becomes more and more expensive, right? So that's why you need tactics, software, cutting edge things that no one else is doing. Like LeadFi is the true disruptive game changer, I believe. If you're selling over the phone, generally, if you guys sell over the phone, LeadFi is going to help you make more money at the end of the day, I would probably say. If you're selling through automated webinars, it would also help you make more money because now you can reroute people based off of their availability to certain offers to maximize cash collected. So hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, we got Nicole.
Hello, thank you so much for dropping all these gems for us, and Atena for having us in her community. I'm new to the sales game. I'm still working full-time in tech and trying to figure out my way, how to get out of that. But my question is, when someone books a call with you, do you advise that if they don't confirm back that they're going to attend when you send that reminder, that you just don't meet with them? Because I've had people, not show up.
Always show up. Always show up.
Always show up. Okay.
Always show up, regardless. There's people
Okay.
like they put a thing on your calendar. I mean, what is that going to cost you? Your time. What else do you have to do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I gotta work or take another call from somebody else.
always show up to see if they're going to show up. I would give them 5 to 10 minutes, but then while you're waiting, send some emails, send some messages, do whatever you want during that time. But I will always show up to your commitment. If somebody says, hey, I'm going to meet, they book on my calendar and they at one point say they're going to show up, unless I have certainty that they're not going to show up because they said they're not going to show up, I'm going to show up to that call. Because people get busy, people forget, things happen, the kid starts crying, they forget, they might get a flat tire, they didn't message you, like stuff happens, you know what I'm saying? But I'd say always show up.
Okay, thank you.
Douglas, a question for you. Do you have any tactic for how to increase the show up rate? Because obviously that's one of the other pain points in this industry, the show up rate.
Yeah. I think we can talk about sending messages. We can talk about doing calls, when calling them right when they book a call, right? We can talk about all of that stuff. But I think that the show rate, the show rate is a direct reflection of the intent of the customer. So if your marketing is not in line with your landing page, and your landing page is not in line with your VSL or your webinar, and they booked a call, and you made it, you made the barrier of entry very, very low, and there was not enough conviction built up into the person as to why they needed to book a call in the first place, you're going to get what you pay for. Okay. So I think that the show rate actually comes from the first ads or first messaging people are seeing about you, because we live in a 2-second society. Okay. People have a very short attention span, right? So you need to be able to articulate and demonstrate a problem super fast, and then help them along a journey to solving that problem. And then and in your marketing, you need to actually, they need to know that you're the guy or the girl that's going to do that, right? So if you don't do that in that order, and every page isn't congruent with previous page, and it's not super clear what needs to happen when you go to the next page, people's intent is going to fall off the side of the mountain. Okay. So I would really look at your marketing and sales and make sure all those things are like locked in and congruent, and that you're building up enough conviction, right? You might want to also have people, complete short forms, right? There's like video technology where my friend has a company called eBooth. You can also do that. I think this with Vitalytics if you use video software, but you might have like a 10-20 minute video, but the video pauses a few times through the video and may ask a question, and it could be generating leads. It could be asking for contact information. It could be asking to complete a short question with a multiple choice. And now you're gathering data through that person. Every time somebody opts in, whether they're saying they want to work with you or not, if they're opting in, it's a yes. Okay, because you're keeping them engaged and they're continuing down your path. So that's like one trick you can do. But like I said, I think it starts from the marketing, the ads, the messaging that you're putting out into the market. But like I said, the simple stuff, send out reminders, have them call and confirm the appointment, right? You can have an AI do this stuff as well. Make sure that here's actually a piece of useful information. About 1.5 years ago, Google stopped adding calendar invites to people's actual Gmail calendar, right? And it would show up in their inbox saying, hey, this looks like spam. Do you accept the appointment? And they had to click a button for it to actually show up on the calendar. So on the thank you page after they book a call, you want to have instructions and have a video that talks about that specifically, and tell them to go open up their inbox, accept that email so it shows up on their calendar. Okay. So that was about 1.5 years to 2 years ago. So if you're not doing that, yeah, that's going to definitely affect your show rate. So there's small things like that too that will be helpful.
Yeah, and have you ever tried to set up the retargeting ad to send the people that book a call? Let's say in a Facebook, they go to your opt-in page, they book a call, and then retarget back to them, like, because there might be a few days, and in that few days, they're going to see a retargeting ad, which is build more authority and trust.
Oh yeah, 100%. I have this whole, no, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. There's a whole strategy that I have, like, where they're constantly seeing videos and ads from me the second they see me, and based off of which videos they watch and how long they watch them, right? So yeah, when they opt in and book a call, there's like new videos they start to see on Facebook and Instagram compared to the videos that they were seeing before they booked a call, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that they see after they book a call is more so heavy intensive around testimonials and case studies and results, right? So, and that's also something you want to feed to them after they book a call on the thank you page or in email or via text message as well. Hey, Sandy was just like you. And through AI, you can get super specific. Like if they put on their applications that they did XYZ, and you could use AI to determine which of your students achieved XYZ. Through AI, you can actually deliver them certain testimonials that fit that same avatar. And, so they're like, oh my God, this guy's helped a specific person that was just in my same situation, right? So that's why collecting testimonials and having a robust system for that is so important as well. You know, you should be getting testimonials, video screen, you know, Trustpilot, everything from everyone. Because guess what? When people see you online, they're going to Google you, right? So if they can't find your website, and if you have bad reviews or no reviews on Trustpilot, or you don't have a BBB account, or if you're an F on BBB, that's going to be a problem too, and that's going to decrease your show rates as well. They're going to look for you. YouTube is a great place because if someone Googles you, right? If you posted any videos on YouTube, Google takes those videos and places it on the Google search in real time. You guys seen YouTube videos on Google searches, right? So you want to post videos, testimonials, interviews, content on YouTube as well, and have that organically show up when people Google your business or your brand. So those are some tips.
It's amazing. Yeah, thank you. And the other thing, guys, that the Douglas mentioned about a bit of personalization. One thing we tried in the past ourselves was, as soon as someone opt in, we would send them a personalized video using HeyGen. So one of the feature of the HeyGen is you can create your own avatar, and then you can send a personalized video to your lead. So let's say that someone book a call, they're gonna get a personalized video from you, that the personalized video is talking about the name, the company, right? So it's very personalized, and then that would impress them and say, oh, I love to talk to these people to see who they are. Like, they literally send me a video within 5 minutes of opting into it, right? So this sort of thing make a difference. So the query is asking what was the name of the website, the video creation tool sorry, the video embed tool that you mentioned?
eBoov.
eBoov. EBOO. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an affiliate link or anything, so I'm not making any money off it. I just know it works. So definitely consider it. I think you pay a subscription, so be prepared for that. I think it's like $200 or $300 a month.
The other software that guys will use for the those qualification and ask polls and some questions, a quiz funnel. So we tried it. You can use the quiz funnel in combination of other funnels too. Like, you have an opt-in page, and then in the second page you take them to a quiz funnel. So you can use that. So you get the GHL. You could use a GHL to build a quick quiz funnel, or you could use some softwares for that one too. And I'll send you guys a link of the one that we use. For the quiz funnel, it's called a Score app. So you can use that one. It's pretty good too. All right. So Douglas, just a very last question. I know that we're running a bit over. Do you guys use any AI for the appointment setter yet?
Yeah, we do.
So do you mind me ask which one do you use?
We actually use the GHL built one. I think it's ZappyChat.
Oh, right. Okay. Because
Yeah.
we tried the Blind AI. So I did actually program it myself, and it wasn't good enough. So I'm not quite sure. Kind of trying to do research about which one is the best. So one of the issue with the Blind AI was it was a bit of delay sometimes. Like, that delay was a bit annoying, and that's why we stopped using it. So have you guys had any issue with that, with yours?
No, I don't think so. Not so much. We use another one called, there's a Simple Talk, and there's another one called like Big AI that does like talking over the phone too. That works really well. There's a number. I mean, this technology has gotten actually a lot better now and more affordable than when it first came out. So I know there's a lot of great options. But yeah, I haven't seen any issue. We just hook up ChatGPT 4.0 is set up now, so it's a lot faster. And then the 3 model was like a lot slower, and then the language was like not as good, so.
Yeah. So what is the ratio of the human versus AI appointment setter in your company? I assume you use.
It's probably like 5-to-1 now, AI and human. We still have like humans, but we use AI pretty heavily now.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for that. That's something we're looking into. So I might just get your brain on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
The Blind AI we used was the over 6 months ago, which wasn't good enough, and it was very complicated setup as well. So Need to check out the one that you mentioned. What was the last one? Simple Talk, I think you mentioned.
Simple Talk, yeah.
Simple Talk. Okay. So everyone, there's so much nugget today, right? AI softwares, high ticket industry, how we get around the broke leads, so much nugget. Just guys, put in the chat from 1 to 10. How much did you learn today? 1, I didn't learn anything. 10, I've learned a lot. I would love everyone to give lots of love to Douglas. But we really appreciate his time. 10, 10, 10. Really good. Thank you, Douglas. Thanks, everyone. 10, 10,
Come on,
10. Thank
there's
you.
usually one person that puts like a 7 just to be funny. Someone just put a 7
10,
to
10.
make me laugh.
Any 7, guys? No 7? Everyone 10? So far, you got 10 from everyone.
Yeah.
10.
Okay.
There's no
Awesome.
7.
I appreciate you guys. There we go.
I'm not giving you
I
7.
got my 7. 7's my lucky number. So
Someone said 7 plus 7. You got 14. Here you go, Douglas. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time again. Thanks, everyone. We pop the recording in the mastermind group. And I wish everyone a happy Easter as well. I hope you guys have a great break, and we see you back in the community next week. Thanks again.